Okay, first we will actually create a new project. So I'm just going to call this test demo 2. And once we have that, it's then basically cleared it. So then what we do want to do is we want to go up to tools and we want to do an online search. And for here, we're actually searching PubMed. What I often do is I kind of actually go into the PubMed website and I kind of run it there, so I can actually just run it there. And that way I can work out kind of all the terms. So here what I'm doing is I'm searching for your search term. And then what I'm doing is I'm only basically looking for all of the papers from 2010 to current. And that's really mainly because we can only import up to 10,000 references through the PubMed online website. They have actually put in a restriction over on the last year. So that's why it's actually the limited. If you want to kind of pull in all of basic PubMed or all of Web of Science or kind of other sources, you then can actually save your search as a RIS file, and then you can import a RIS file into synthesis. So what actually happens is that kind of actually has all the references, and then at that point, just click on import into synthesis. And when it's actually importing, it will check to see whether we already have the reference. So if you're importing references from PubMed or through PubMed and Web of Science and these other ones, it will actually at that point check to see whether you already have the reference, and it will only kind of import it kind of once. So it already does all the deduplication. There is a check that a person can run. So kind of with here, it's found about 35 here. So kind of often what happens is you will find actually basically papers where it's only one basically character off. So it's kind of going the prevalence of hypertension part 1. And the other one will be the prevalence of hypertension part 2. It's published in the same journal. It's published in the same issue. Its abstract reads exactly the same. So you can always just basically you can always just check those and then kind of include them. So here we will actually return into it. So what you have is you have kind of your you have your author title. Along here you have whether it's primary abstract or primary paper. So this is where you can do basically your kind of inclusion exclusion, and you then have a series of actually on tabs here. So for here, if you wanted to include this paper, you then would actually get kind of included or excluded. You can as well use hot basically things. So you could go Control I for include. Exclude, Control O, unknown, Control kind of U, and so it's really almost kind of whether you want to have in or out. So then at that point, the really power with the software is it's actually basically the search. So if we were just to look at a word cloud, we can either look at titles or we can look at abstracts. And let's say we wanted to just see kind of all the papers that are around dialysis. So we have about basically 500 papers there. What happened is by clicking that, it then has added basically title and the word into the search. So that's why it now only shows 500. And we then can actually hit on basically topic clustering. And topic clustering will then look at those basically 500 papers, and it'll then at that point do even a further basically refinement, kind of here. As I basically said, kind of the power is actually with the search. So if we were to look at, let's say, title, and let's do kind of maybe we want to find out kind of what type of papers these are. So if we go basically as association, and let's do that as a wild basic card. So we're finding basically 217 papers where you kind of have where you kind of actually have the where like kind of actually you have the title saying kind of what type of study is. Now what you can do is you can tag these. So if we were to create a new column, and let's call this study type and value unmatch, let's go association and click on OK. It has now actually created a new column and it's tagged all of these references. We as well could as well go, okay, how many of these are basically prevalence papers? So again, you have 80. We could do the same thing. Choose the existing column and append it, and we can go prevalence, and there it will then basically create that. And let's actually just do one more. Let's do incidence, and let's essentially tag those again, append it, and if we do that, then we then have that. So if we clear this, and we then at that point right click on the study type, we can go view chart enhanced, and that will actually just basically like kind of show us a breakdown. And if we then kind of go show values and show percentages, we then can kind of see how many papers are actually related towards that. Now, what you can do is you can actually basically build what we call basically a metadata from a text file. So we actually do have all these basic scripts that we have already basically like kind of looked at, like kind of where we've looked at basically the titles and the like terms that are used to actually describe the papers, and we have actually published that. So it's where at that point we just basically load in that, and then it will just run. And at least that's a way of actually having it validated. We've done the same thing with actually looking at what type of basically statistics are used in the full text, because the software can actually search the full text as well. Now, to get full text, let's just basically like kind of go journal, and we'll kind of choose like an open, like kind of one. What you can like kind of just do here is you could kind of actually just hit on basically download, and the software will go out and it will like try to retrieve the paper. If you're within the if like kind of you're in the BN in a university, of course you can get access to like kind of all the basic behind the paywall. Now, what has actually happened is that a lot of the publishers they have actually kind of put in like kind of more like kind of complex ways for actually downloading these papers. And but if you have to download it by hand, you then can always basically like kind of head to the website by just hitting find on web and save the paper there. And then at that point, you then can go import from file, and it will then at that point basically import that. So once more, the like kind of actually major power is actually basically the search, and it's actually to quantify the literature. And as well, though, you can kind of do things like search in the abstract and search in like things like basically search for certain terms as well, and it will actually highlight those terms as well, so at least you can find what you're looking for like kind of right away. And that's just a very quick overview, but there's kind of a lot more but there's actually a lot more basically features like kind of in the software as well that I can explain at a later point. Thank you. Bye.